Happy Veterans Day indeed. In fact, I should open things up with a little something. Let's see. Where's my YouTube link? How's everybody doing today? Nope, nope, nope. Wrong. There we go. All right. Let me pull up. I'm probably going to have to keep the sound off because I'm sure I'll get. Oh, let's see. There it is. 20 years ago this year. It's a big deal. Let's pull it up. Yeah, I guess it is. I got to figure that out. All right. Let's see. I got This is footage from my time in Iraq, as captured by First Force Recon, who we were working with. So they took a bunch of this footage. It was us as a battalion, and they gave this to us as a farewell gift when their tour was over, when our run was over with them. We were very happy about this. Now, this is this area you're seeing of Iraq is the Al Anbar province. We were stationed at Al Asad Air Base. We're going to see the first half of this. That's as a let me pause that. Let me go back a bit. Hold on. There we go. So this is the footage of one of our aircraft. Went down hard landing, actually, believe it or not. I don't know if I've told this story before. The helicopter was coming down, and crew chief was looking down, saw ground, and thought everything was okay. What he didn't know was that the sand was it was basically a soft spot in the ground that was covered with sand, and the sand was just washing away in the rotor wash, and he couldn't tell. So when the aircraft went to hit down or land, it went canted over to the side and just rolled over. No, in the so funny story about that, Emmanuel. That was actually a sea stallion that did that, or a Pavlo, if it was an Air Force bird. I couldn't remember whether it was a Marine or an Air Force from the first Transformers. The second Transformers movie, my unit, did the Black Hawk scenes for it. They also did. Any of you guys remember the Jackal? There's another shot of the downed aircraft. They also did the Huey scenes in Jackal. Now, that was much from the 90s. They didn't have Blackhawks yet. Yeah, now we're starting to get into the movie side of things. So these are raids where we're dropping off recon Marines, recons. Get in, drop them off, take off, give support. Let them do their thing. Pick them up. Bring them home. See, there is water. It isn't just desert. This is what I was thinking. This is I think this is around Haditha. More videos. Now we'll see. We'll see actually a lot more videos in this part of the This is what we call brownout. Well, didn't get to see it as much. Takes me back 20 years ago. Picking them up in the morning. I was not expecting this kind of foliage and fauna or flora. Sorry, this kind of foliage and flora. I thought it was all going to be rolling dunes and sand and stuff like that. That's actually more Saudi Arabia. The raid mission. You can see the little dots of the guys leaving out there. This might be the better video for the brownout. No, actually, I thought it was going to be more Emmanuel. I thought it was going to be more like the Sahara with the Gobi. Well, maybe not the not the Gobi Desert, but the Sahara, where it literally is just like big sand dunes. I don't know if that's what West Texas is like. I figured this is more closer to West Texas. Oh, so ammo dump in the background here. See all these. Think on it. Anyway, the ammo dump in the background here. You see these poles come up. That's for attracting. Those are lightning rods. It does storm out there. Storms, it rains, it even snows. Those kind of shots are very pretty. I wasn't sure if I'd shown this to you guys yet or not. I thought I've done it a couple of times, but maybe not. Maybe I haven't done it at all. That's a good picture right there with the Black Hawk on the left or in the far corner. The door gun sticking out for the crew chief. That was back when we could paint the mandibles. So you see the mandibles the guys wear over their face now. They had just started using them when we got there. and we could actually get them painted. They don't let them. I don't think they let them do it anymore. Special thanks to the guys at First Force Recon. Everyone at 224 Punisher. Really cool guys to work with. Really cool guys to work with. I really enjoyed that. All right. So, and people ask why we like. It's like it's the meme, right? It's like, what are you looking at? Helicopter. Hell yeah. Yeah, I need to save that one. That one's been on here for 15 years. That video's been on there for 15 years. But it's a little surreal now at this point where we're getting to the point where I've been alive. It's I'm 42, right? And this happened 20 years ago. This is half a lifetime ago. It's very I said it's very surreal. Being in there's really like a time warp in many instances. You go for a year and you come back and everybody else has gone on with their own life and you've been gone. Things happen and you're not really as in the know of things as you thought. And it's pretty crazy. What's going on, Nico? You just finished the video. We had video time at school today. Said company vid is offline now. Found the battalion vid. Man, we had a guy who had a bunch of these videos. I wish I'd have look. This is the thing that I hated. So stupidly, I had taken my money and bought an Alienware laptop. Had it delivered to my house when I was at mid tour when I went home for mid tour leave, and I spent like $2,800 on this laptop. It was gonna be a gaming laptop. It was gonna be something I could take around with me. I could run all my games. I could fire it up wherever I needed to. Mostly in my barracks, but maybe if I had some time in the trailer, I could take it with me. But what happened was the same problem we were having with all the other compute laptops. Is they would get dust and sand in them, and basically they would overheat. And this particular frame that they had put this laptop in was prone for overheating. I melted my hard drive. Unrecoverable. There were things, there were pictures and movies, all sorts of stuff on there that I will never get back. That really kind of bummed me out. But I've got the memories, and that's what that's for better for worse. But that's the big bummer behind it. And I tried so hard. I mean, I was ready to drop however much money. We sent the thing away. We sent the hard drive off to Seagate because it was Seagate made it. We sent it off to Seagate to see if they could recover it. No such luck. No such luck. Because I was ready to. I was ready to drop some whatever coin they needed me to save it. So live and you learn. That was a hard lesson to learn, but we all make our mistakes. All right. How's everybody doing? Welcome to the show. It's Veterans Day, a little Veterans Day introduction. My name's Stuart Davis. Hey, veteran. Thank you for your appreciation, folks. Same to you, Matt. Thank you for your service because I know that we served. Where's Alex Moore? I haven't seen him in a while, or he hasn't been in the comment section. I thought he served at some point. He was a. It's just different. All right, so we're going to go back to reading Jeremiah. Jeremiah has been in trouble, been thrown in jail, been on the run, lots of different things. I think at this point, he's in jail. Of course, if you can read where Jeremiah is being thrown into a cistern, he's not going to be in jail. He's going to be in the cistern. Things have not been going well for Judah. Nobody listened to Jeremiah, and thus nobody liked what Jeremiah was saying, and thus things haven't been going well for Jeremiah either. He's the bearer of bad news, but he's also doing this with the hope that these folks will turn from their evil ways. Turn away from your evil ways. Cast out your demons. And be better. They don't want to. They don't want to. So, tis what it is, and we're going to read about what happens next. The last we heard last night, he had been thrown in jail, and the king was still coming to him and going, "Hey, is God coming to me? Is God saying anything? God got anything to say to me? Is he talking about me?" And Jeremiah has passed on what he knows and what he's heard, but doesn't think that I don't think that that's going to get any better. All right, so let's start with chapter 38. Jeremiah thrown into the cistern. Now, Shephatiah, the son of Matan, and Gedaliah, the son of Pashur, and Jukal, also called Jehukal, the son of Shelemiah, and Pashur, the son of Malchijah, heard the words that Jeremiah was speaking to all the people, saying, "So says the Lord, he who remains in this city will die by the sword, by famine, and by virulent disease, pestilence. But he who goes out to the Chaldeans of Babylon will live and have his own life as a reward and stay alive. Thus says the Lord, the city will certainly be given into the hand of the army of the king of Babylon, and he will take it." Therefore, the princes, court officials, said to the king, "Please, we implore you, let this man Jeremiah be put to death. For speaking in this way, he discourages and weakens the will of the soldiers who remain in the city, and he discourages and weakens the will of all the people by speaking such words to them. For this man is not seeking the well-being of these people, but rather their harm." Then King Zedekiah, fearing the princes, said, "Listen, he is in your hand, for the king is in no position to do anything against you." So they took Jeremiah and threw him into the cistern of Malchijah, the king's son, which was in the court of the guardhouse, and they let Jeremiah down into the cistern with ropes. Now there was no water in the cistern, but only mud, and Jeremiah sank into the mud. Now Ebed-Melech, the Ethiopian, Cushite, one of the eunuchs who was in the king's palace, heard that they had put Jeremiah in the cistern, and while the king was sitting in the gate of Benjamin, Ebed-Melech went out to the king's palace and spoke to the king, saying, "My lord, the king, these men have acted wickedly in all that they have done to Jeremiah the prophet, whom they have thrown into the cistern, and he will die of hunger where he is because of the famine, and there is no more bread in the city." Then the king commanded Ebed-Melech the Ethiopian, saying, "Take 30 men from here with you and lift Jeremiah the prophet out of the cistern before he dies." So Ebed-Melech took the men with him and went into the palace of the king to a place under the storeroom, and took from there old rags and worn out clothes, and let them down by ropes into the cistern to Jeremiah. Then Ebed-Melech the Ethiopian said to Jeremiah, "Now put these old rags and worn out clothes under your armpits. Then place the ropes under the padding." And Jeremiah did so. So they pulled Jeremiah up with the ropes and took him up out of the cistern, and Jeremiah remained in the court of the guardhouse. Then King Zedekiah sent and had Jeremiah the prophet brought to him at the third entrance, that is, in the house of the Lord. And the king said to Jeremiah, "I'm going to ask you something. Hide nothing from me." Then Jeremiah said to Zedekiah, "If I tell you, will you not certainly put me to death? Even if I do give you advice, you will not listen to me." But King Zedekiah swore secretly to Jeremiah, "As the Lord lives, who made our lives, be assured that I will not put you to death or put you into the hand of these men who are seeking your life." All right, so very interesting. Kind of shows either some flakiness, flightiness of Zedekiah or just overall weakness of him as a leader. But this is not what's going on, Neo. I'm gonna finish up just this chapter, and then I'm gonna go put my kid to bed because we're still having some sleep regression. But I want to finish this part of it, especially since I've gotten in this part outside. And we'll figure this out. All right. Anyway, so Zedekiah goes to. I'm sorry. Let's start this over. The princes come up to Jeremiah, and they've been hearing what he's been having to say. And this is nothing new. They've already heard this. We went over this in I think chapter 36. He's saying, talking about how the same thing that they've been talking about. Stop your evil ways, or else. And now that the Babylonians or the Chaldeans are here, judgment is here. So if you remain, if you're not part of the group that's being exiled, you're going to die. It's either going to be by the sword, by hunger, or by disease. It's not going to be great, right? And they don't like that. It's not, and you know what? They go to the king and saying it's not good for morale, and it isn't. But it's reality. It's the reality of the situation, and it's God's judgment. And it's not something that they haven't been warned about multiple times now, multiple times 100 years ago from then, multiple times all throughout the history of Israel and Judah. Now it's time. Nico says, I feel like Jeremiah has been the most relatable prophet so far. He's not savvy like Elijah. He's a simple man, but all the things he knowingly go through to speak truth. Well, and he's in a tough position. I mean, most of these prophets are, if you think about Elijah and Elisha and who they were trying to preach to. And Jeremiah, he's got this, your message is to these folks are at an impasse at this point. They either fix it and stop, or doom is coming to them. One of the, and you know, he's facing this, and he knows that we've got layers upon layers upon layers of promises for God that now's the time when it's going to happen, and yet they still choose not to. And so it's kind of, Jeremiah almost comes across a little defeated. Not like he's lost hope. He still has hope in God, right? But he's feeling really defeated that these people have still, even after all these warnings, even after the imminence of what's been going on, and they still chose to do the wrong thing. It's a little, it's probably pretty hard for them, right? So the guys come, so these princes, they come to the king. It's like, this is bad for morale. What he's saying, it's just bad. And he doesn't want us, he's not trying to do us any good. He's trying to harm us. That ain't the part now. I mean, we know from understanding Jeremiah's perspective that that's not the truth, but there's nothing that's going to help them at this point except for the mercy of the Lord, which he ain't interested in doing. But the king goes, okay, well, I'm not going to do it. And this is this again, it shows a little weakness in Zedekiah. He goes, all right, well, I'm not going to stop you guys. Y'all could do whatever y'all want. So they throw him to basically an empty well that's just mud at the bottom with nothing to eat or drink. Right. And then this Ethiopian comes out, sees what's going on and goes back to the king and says, they threw him down a well and he's going to starve to death. Now, I don't know if Zedekiah was like thinking that they were just going to execute him, because that's what they asked for, to put him to death. If they thought they were going to execute him instead of this drawn out, torturous way or not, I don't know. But Zedekiah spares him. And then Zedekiah says, hey, tell me what you said. Tell me, answer my questions and be as 100% honest with me. And Jeremiah goes, well, if I am, aren't you just going to put me to death? And the king swears he's not to. So here's the next part. Interview with Zedekiah. And then Jeremiah said to Zedekiah, Thus says the Lord God of hosts, the God of Israel, if you will go out and surrender to the officers of the king of Babylon, then you will live, and the city will not be burned with fire, and you and your household will live. If you will not go out to the officers of the king of Babylon, then the city will be given into the hand of the Chaldeans of Babylon, and they will set it on fire, and you yourself will not escape from their hand. Then King Zedekiah said to Jeremiah, I am afraid of the Jews, my former subjects, who have deserted to join the Chaldeans, for the enemy may put me into their hand, and they will mock me and abuse me. But Jeremiah said, they will not hand you over to them. Please obey the voice of the Lord, who speaks to you through me and what I am saying to you. Then it will go well with you, and you will live. But if you keep refusing to go out and surrender to them, then this word and the vision which the Lord has shown me, then behold, all the women who are left in the palace of the king of Judah will be brought out to the officers of the king of Babylon, and those women will say to you, King of Zedekiah, your close friends have prevailed against your better judgment and have overpowered and deceived you. While your feet were sunk in the mire of trouble, they turned back. Also, all your wives and your children will be brought out to the Chaldeans, and you yourself will not escape from their hand. But you will be seized by the king of Babylon, and the city, Jerusalem, will be burned down with fire. Then Zedekiah said to Jeremiah, let no man know about this conversation, and you will not die. But if the princes, the court officials, hear that I have talked with you, and they come to you and say, tell us now what you have said to the king and what he said to you, do not hide it from us, and we will not execute you. Then you are to say to them, I was presenting my humble petition and plea to the king, so that he would not send me back to Jonathan's house to die there. Then all the princes, court officials came to Jeremiah and asked him just what the king Zedekiah had anticipated they would ask, and he reported to them in accordance with all the king had commanded. So they stopped questioning him, since the conversation with the king had not been overheard. So Jeremiah remained in the court of the guardhouse until the day that Jerusalem was captured by the Chaldeans of Babylon. And so there you have it. Basically, God says, you need to surrender. You need to surrender yourself and your family out to the Chaldeans. And if you do that, you'll keep this city from total destruction, right? And Zedekiah is afraid, but there's some folks who have moved to the other side. I don't want to be turned over into their hands. And Jeremiah goes, why don't you just stop being it's okay to be nervous, I guess, but if you've got faith, why don't you just stop letting your worries get in the way with you just doing what's asked of you, right? And maybe that's what he was. Maybe you're right, Nico. Maybe that's what he was. Maybe that's what he was hoping for. But again, we're dealing with a relatively weak leader. Not to say that he was not as good as us. I could see many of us being in a similar position. You've got so many different responsibilities on top of you that it's overwhelming, I'm sure. But he's not doing a good job as king, right? And he's let us all this compound. But that's basically the ultimate thing, is just listen to what God's told you. Please do this. And so Zedekiah doesn't really give him an answer one way or another, but he tells him, don't tell anybody about this conversation. If the princes come and ask you what we talked about, just say that you were asking me to spare your life, basically. And so they did. And that's when, and Jeremiah, being obedient man that he is, does that as well. And so they believed him. It's plausible. Jeremiah's story is plausible there. So there you go. All right. Well, I've got to go, guys. Nico, Matt, Emmanuel. Thanks for being part of the chat. I know this is we're wrapping this up pretty close to the end, or pretty early, but I've got stuff I got to handle. Y'all have a good night. God bless. Same thing for everybody else. Appreciate it. Bye.